episode of the White Owl podcast. And I am excited because today I have the most interesting, wonderful, fascinating, authentic, down to earth, but magical woman, Anne-Marie Polack of AM's
Oh,
Crystals.
yay! And you said it right.
Hello.
So many people say different. Like they usually go AMS crystals, and I'm like, no, it's AMs.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what
AM
I
for
mean. It was so
Anne-Marie.
fun. Yeah,
Oh,
and I don't
yay.
understand why other people don't get that.
Not everyone is as tuned in as me.
I think that's definitely the key for sure. Or they don't read the punctuation because there's even a hyphen and an apostrophe. So.
Yeah, I'm educated. I like to say I am. Those 3 degrees
Oh,
counted for something. Ah, okay. Well, just reminding everyone, the White Owl podcast, because people are like, what is this? I had this vision one day. I just woke up and I saw this vision of a white owl flying through the darkness, and this message came about piercing the darkness and illuminating the truth. And so I think everyone has a truth to share, and Anne Marie's truth is very powerful. I've only known you for a short time. Well, we knew each other in Facebook land, but in
yeah,
person,
yeah.
our children go to archery tag together and fire
Yeah.
arrows. Yeah, and we have amazing conversations and sometimes disappear to sit under trees and meditate while they're doing it.
Yeah. I love that. That was such a profound day. I loved that. Absolutely loved it.
Yes, yes. That was on 11/11. We might have snuck out of archery tag to manifest.
Yeah. At
Yeah,
11. So, yeah.
at 11
Yeah.
a.m. Yep. Yes.
Yeah. It was a very
So
magical moment.
it was, and I love meeting other people that are deeply spiritual and into the metaphysical,
Yeah.
like you are. So let's talk a bit
Very
about
much.
you, because this is all about you and your amazing offering in this world. So, do you want to tell people a little bit about, I guess, first of all, who you are and what AM's Crystals is?
No worries at all. I can do that, I think. It's forever changing. I think every
Mm,
time that I have a conversation about who I am and what I do, it is constantly evolving, which life is about evolving and changing.
mm-hmm.
I've never really been one to be about labels. So I've never really seen myself as particularly one thing. So yes, I
Mm,
might be psychic. Yes, I might be a medium. Yes, I might be spiritual. Yes, this. Yes, that. But I'm not just one thing. I wear many hats at the end of the day. Um, I got intrigued into crystals. I've always liked crystals. Always thought they were very pretty. Never really looked into the metaphysical until um, I sort of was intrigued. I got the Crystal Bible by Judy Hall, and I started
mm,
reading a few things. And it was actually a lady in Bicheno. So we're going back probably about 15 years ago now, maybe more. And I was chatting to her outside the bank. She was complaining about situations in her life. And I
mm-hmm.
advised her about a couple of crystals that she would benefit from. And her reaction was, oh, wow, yes, I think I've actually got those. And I was like, I remember just standing there going, oh my God, oh my God, she accepted what I had to say and she didn't think I was a weirdo. Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is like really cool. And the feeling that I got for helping someone in regards to sharing my knowledge was just profound. And so not long after that, AM's Crystals and Salt Lamps was created. And I just go to markets and I found quite intuitively that if someone stepped up to my table and touched particular crystals, I knew why they were touching those crystals, which once again had me going, oh my God, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And once, like, I dropped the salt lamps, it was around when I did the micro business Cert 3 with the NICE program, which it's called something
Mm-hmm.
different now. Um,
Yeah.
that as much as I loved salt lamps and the benefits of salt lamps, they're bloody heavy and they cost a lot to post.
I was going to say, did you literally
And it
drop
got
them?
well, I actually did, and I ended
Mm-hmm.
up using those pieces of salt elsewhere, because in my world, everything happens for a reason. And
Mm.
surprisingly enough, the people that I dropped it with all got a piece as well. So, and that's the same
Oh,
with crystals. So
yeah.
I find that if a piece shatters or it breaks or whatnot, and depending on who's actually around, 9 times out of 10, there needs to be a piece go to each of those people. There's a
You know what?
reason
Can I
behind it.
interrupt you and just say that's one of the things
Yeah.
I love about you? Whenever I have a conversation with Anne-Marie, there is meaning in everything. Like I remember I dropped my lip balm and it fell at my feet and it was lavender lip balm and you're like, need to put lavender on your feet. Like, oh, I probably do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, so
There's
continue. I
messages
love that
everywhere.
about you. Mm, mm,
Yeah. So messages everywhere if you're willing to see. So whether that's from dropping your lip balm at your face, or whether that's seeing an animal, or like all of a sudden you see a shape. There's a reason why you're seeing these shapes. They're messages. It's the way that I feel that our guardian angels, our guides, our ancestors, our loved ones, anyone that's on the other realm are communicating with
mm,
us and giving us cheat codes. Like at the end of the day, life can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. Life
mm,
does not need to be a challenge. Yes, we are faced with challenges, but I feel that I always have the tools in my toolbox from past experiences or from people who are actually in the area at the time or who I have met that can actually help me through each challenge that I'm faced with.
mm.
So, yeah, I have the oh my God moments, or those that know me, the oh F me moments. Um, but at the end of the day, it's you have that moment because it's an emotion, it's valid, but then it's like, okay, what have I got to learn from here? One of my mantras that I learned was if it's not a blessing, it must be a lesson. So when life turns upside down, there's a lesson to be found every time. And
What
so
was
that's
that
where I
first
find
line?
like
If it's not
if it's not a blessing,
a
so
blessing.
blessing without the G, if it's not a
Okay,
blessing, it must be the lesson. Yeah. And
okay.
then
If
it
it's
was
not a
probably about
lesson, must be a blessing.
3 Yeah. So 3 years later, I then tweaked that mantra to if it's not a blessing, it must be a lesson, but that lesson is then the blessing.
Mm, that is really so good. Yes,
Yeah.
that is
It was
something I
really
probably
profound.
live by. Mm, mm,
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people would live by it, but they don't realize that they're living by it. And it's
mm,
amazing how many people stick their head in the sand and go, nah, not today. Which is okay at the end of the day. If you want to do that, do that. But just don't do it every day.
mm. It is
Because
hard
then
for a
that's when
lot of
depression.
people, isn't it? Yeah. I
Yeah.
was going to say, a lot
Yeah.
of
Because
people have life's challenges and cannot see that it's a blessing. Like, how do you get from
no.
challenge, trauma, trial to blessing?
So what I do is I look for the positives. So it does
Mm,
not matter what has happened. There is always more than three positives, but I'll start with three because the trick is that as soon as you see three positives, you'll start to see other positives, and that's all you're focusing on is the positive. So
mm.
shit hitting the fan is all part of the plan.
That's another mantra. Shit hitting the
Yeah,
fan is all
I
part of the plan.
Yeah, yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it allows us to reassess and re-go through everything, which is great for when Mercury retrograde decides to show up.
Yes,
Because
yes.
then we get to redo, replan, readjust, resit, like reset. Like there's so many things that we do when it comes to Mercury retrograde.
Mm,
Um, which is another chapter I can imagine that we could go down. But back to AM's crystals. So basically, long story short, I found that crystals were quite healing. I used to pop many painkillers. I used to have bad back, used to have bad neck, used to have rather large breasts, which
mm,
caused a lot of issues. And I'd be having like Panadine Forte or Tramadol or like, and it'd wear off really quickly, like, and it wouldn't help my pain.
mm,
So what I ended up doing was I ended up able to get a breast reduction, I was on the waiting list for 15 months, which surprised a lot of
Mm.
people because they've been waiting for 20 years.
I was going to
However,
say
I was
that
able to
sounds
get through
fast. Yeah.
very fast, very fast. So, very grateful at the end of the day that I was able to go through. It was very confronting, though, to see the bruises and the healing moment of it, because it was the whole
Mm.
"why can't you be happy with what you got" scenario came through.
Yeah.
To which I reminded myself that I had a lot of issues when it came to working. I was working in the shearing shed, so basically head down between the knees on a regular, picking up the fleeces. So caused a
Oh
lot
my
of issues with my
goodness.
back.
How long did you do
Yeah.
that for?
I was in the shearing sheds for well over 6 years.
Mm. How did you find that?
Yeah. Um, I loved it. Absolutely loved working in the shearing sheds. But you earned your money. Like you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and in
Hard
the
work.
end, it, if you're not using your body properly, very much so, like you should be squatting instead of bending. But sometimes you don't have the time
Mm.
to squat. You're just going to get in, grab it, and go because the shearer is going to walk straight back out on the fleece, which
Okay.
causes more
And
drama.
so, yes. And so you were doing this, and yeah, with your your posture and the weight of the your breasts, it was yeah really hard on you.
Too
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
Yep, yep.
yeah.
And so when I was using the painkillers and whatnot, like those that know me
Mm-hmm.
back then, they knew that I basically had a bottle and I was like swallowing all day. Like I wouldn't have the whole bottle. Like don't get me wrong, but I'd be like having 3 or 4 at a time, and they just wouldn't work.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I started using crystals, and
Mm.
surprisingly enough, this crystal here, which is a carnelian,
Mm-hmm.
was the game saver for my lower back.
Mm. So when did you
And this
discover a carnelian was going to help your lower back?
So basically, not long after I had the experience of having the breast reduction, because it was my
Mm.
lower back as well as my shoulders that were having the issue. And I just read through the book about lower back pain, and turns out carnelian was one. Turns out I had one. I was able to utilize it,
Mm-hmm.
and then actually, well, I mean, I use it all the time now. As for my upper back, my shoulders and my neck, blue lace agate. Now,
Okay.
blue lace
So how
agate,
do you use them?
just put them in my pocket. Well, back then I
Mm-hmm.
put them down my bra.
Mm-hmm.
However, putting them down my bra, a real treasure chest, by the way, putting them down your bra, it basically got to the stage where when you go to rip your bra off to go and have a shower, all the tumbles would be like ting, 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 ting on the floor. And oh my God, I cracked my tiles. Not only did
You
I
cracked
crack
your
my crystals, but
tiles.
I cracked tiles as well because there was some large crystals down my bra. And when
I've
they
had
hit,
friends that
they,
shove things
woo,
down their bras. Yes.
yep,
So you had all
yep.
these crystals, carnelian and what was it, blue lace agate.
Blue lace agate, yep. So they were mainly for
Yeah.
my back.
Mm.
However, blue lace agate also allows us for communication and being able to speak gently instead of rudely. I mean, it seems rude for the person that's receiving it. It doesn't seem rude for us to be delivering it. So the blue lace
Mm-hmm.
agate allows you to use the words that are more gentle for them to actually be able to accept. The
Yeah.
carnelian also helps with depression. It helps with period pain. It helps with,
Mm.
well, I had one while I was in labour with Michaela.
Okay. So
I
how
used,
do
I
they,
used carnelian.
how can you
How
explain
do
to
they
people
work?
that are new to
Yeah,
crystals,
yeah,
how do they
yeah.
work?
So the science behind crystals, because everyone's just like,
Mm.
oh, it's rock, it's a rock. What's a rock going to do? I thought the same thing. Just quietly, I
Mm.
thought the same thing. And it wasn't
Yeah.
until I actually looked into it and understood that everything is frequency. You
Mm.
have a frequency, I have a frequency, crystals have a frequency, trees have a frequency, grass has every single thing has a frequency. And that's why when we meet people and we're like, oh, I don't like you, it's because their frequency does not match our frequency. So the crystal, I like to explain the best way to explain it, especially when dealing with kids. The best way to explain it is every crystal has a fairy in it,
Mm-hmm.
and the fairy goes to work. So
Mm.
the funny thing is too, though, with crystals, you can put it in your pocket with the intent of fixing my back or fixing my side or fixing my leg or helping me make decisions. Like because fluorite helps make decisions as well as getting jobs done. So this one here is a bit of a purple fluorite.
Mm.
Um, so
Beautiful.
you could be looking at it like, for instance, we'll go back to the carnelian. Carnelian is an abundance stone, which allows you to be able to bring abundance in. Now, keeping in mind, abundance is in actual fact, the definition is a lot of. It's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily money, it's not necessarily belongings, it's just a lot of. So it brings in
Yeah.
an abundance of what you want to intend to bring in.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, you might want an abundance of money to come in.
Mm.
Carnelian helps with depression. Now, what carnelian will do, what the fairy will do, is she's going to come and whisper in your ear and go, "Why are you sad? Why are you depressed? What's the matter?"
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
suddenly you'll think about what it is that's making you sad or depressed for you to heal it. So
Mm.
you are faced with the situation that you need to heal in order for you not to be depressed or sad anymore.
Yeah. So it's like a
It
catalyst.
almost, yep, very much so. Very much so.
Mm.
It's the
Or
same
an
as when people play with.
activator.
Very much an activator, for sure. Definitely
Mm-mm.
an activator.
Mm-mm.
It's a push in the right direction. Sunstone, you look up sunstone and everyone's just like, "Oh, sunstone, that's supposed to make me happy. I'll get some of that." But
Mm.
nearly 80% of people that play with sunstone are challenged with a lot of things that make them upset or angry or disgruntled for them to be
Mm-hmm.
able to release it and let it go so they can be happy. Because
Right.
happiness is from within. You
Yeah.
don't
So
get
when
happiness
you
from anything out there.
no, it's an inside job. So when you use some of these
Yeah.
crystals, they might raise what you call the shadow side or things you need to release before you
Oh
can
yeah, yeah. Move on.
become what they're meant to bring you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Very
Because
much so.
it's
It's the
interacting with
same.
your frequency. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's pushing your little buttons. It's like because you're basically a computer, and it's pushing the little buttons, going, "All right, we're going to pull up this file, and we're going to go, boom, here you go, now
Mm.
deal with it." And so then you
Mm.
can sit there and go, "Oh no, not today. I don't want to deal with that today." And you'll deal with it another day when it's presented to you, or you deal with it and go, "Okay." And the first thing that you need to do when dealing with crystals and when you're confronted with things that you need to basically heal from, the very first thing you need to do is apologize to yourself and forgive yourself for the decisions that you have made in order to be where you're at.
Mm.
Does
Yeah.
not matter what's thrown your way. It starts with yourself, whether it's your inner child, your inner teen, your adult, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You need
Mm-hmm.
to forgive yourself for making those decisions because nobody else made those decisions. You made
Yeah.
those
Forgiveness
decisions.
is key, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
can you talk about a time in your life? Because I think yours, it's always good to, when you're talking about something, to relate it to your own life. When you talked about using it for pain, but when else have you had to
Yeah.
really call on the crystals to support you through some life event?
So I feel like you're directing me towards my sister.
What?
So
Oh, I
be
did have
warned,
that
I
in
may
my
have some
mind.
fears.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because I
So
know about that. Yeah.
it's 6 years ago, a bit over 6 years ago. My sister, she's 3 years older than me, or was. Um,
Mm,
she didn't wake up one morning, and
mm,
she was quite an amazing soul to the point where there was somebody from America had sent me like a profile of him, and all I heard was "Ask Tash," and so Tash was my sister.
yeah.
So I sent her a message of this guy's portrait, and I said, "What are you picking up from this guy?" Neither of us knew him
Mm-hmm,
from a bar of soap, not a clue who he was.
mm-hmm, yeah.
And she's like, "He needs to go to the doctor and he needs to get his knee checked out and get a diabetes test." And I'm like, "Oh my God,
Wow.
really? This is so cool." Okay. So I sent him that message. And then 2 days later, he said, "Right, okay, I'm going to book into the doctor." And then I think it was roughly about 2 weeks before he got his results back. And he found out that he needed to have a knee reconstruction and he had type 2 diabetes.
Oh, and she picked this up
And
from a
he felt,
photo.
and she
Mm.
picked it up from his photo. And I'm just like, "Oh my God, you're so cool. You should be doing this all the time. Why aren't you doing this all the
Mm.
time? Like, this is bloody awesome. What are you doing?" Of course,
Yes,
fear was
yes.
a part of it. So.
Mm.
But the fact that I was constantly encouraging her. So, just to sort of bring back to my sister as well. So, my sister was actually involved in a hit and run car accident when she was 18. and she suffered from some major health issues. So she had issues with her back, she had fibromyalgia, she had heart conditions. It got to the stage where she was on
Mm.
12 different medications a day
Oh,
to be able to survive.
yeah.
So she admitted she was a functioning drug user, basically, because,
Yeah.
well, I mean, she was an addict, but she wasn't, if that makes sense, like, because she was
Well, it's
using
for
them
chronic
for each
pain.
different element.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the fact that she was dealing with all of that pain and whatnot, I was like, oh my God, you are like the prime candidate to put under crystals. However, that wasn't going to be the case because
Mm.
she ended up passing away. It's a little bit, it's a conversation that the family did not agree. She was basically diagnosed to have died from a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
However, they don't mention the copious amounts of different drugs that were in her system in order to cause that
Yeah.
heart attack. So
Yeah. Mm.
I was shown something by a friend who'd had a reading done of her sitting basically on the end of the bed and swallowed 3 of her pills, bottles of her pills, however many were in there, and then she
Yeah.
proceeded not to wake up the next morning.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it was a bit of a sad moment, a bit of a oh my God, what the hell happened moment. Um,
Yes.
I live in Tasmania. She lived in Western Australia. And so I was sort of stuck in limbo. Do I leave here? Do I go over there? Because it was a bit unexpected, I suppose you can say. We had to wait
Yeah.
for toxicology and we had to get her affairs in order before she could actually be buried. So she
Mm.
passed away on the 17th of May and was buried on the 6th of, or not buried, sorry, cremated on the 6th of June, 7th of
Yeah.
June. Um, so it was quite a process in between her passing and then us being able to say goodbye. So
Mm.
for me, the only thing that got me through that was some amethyst and some fluorite.
Yeah.
Both of those allow us to deal with grief. Excuse me while I get emotional. Should have
Mm.
brought some
No,
tissues in the
that's
room.
okay. Yeah.
um,
Oh, you can go and get
so
a tissue.
amethyst,
Amethyst. Yeah.
I should have known. Amethyst is what helps us deal with grief, helps us deal with death. It
Mm.
helps those
Mm.
who are dying to accept the fact that they are dying and they're going to move on to their next chapter. And it helps those that have dealt with losing someone to understand that their life's not over per se. There's more to them in their next journey. And it's
Mm.
okay that they have passed because at the end of the day, if it wasn't her turn, she'd still be here. If
Yeah.
she was
So.
not meant to go, she would still be here. No matter what she tried to do,
Mm.
she would still be
Mm.
here. And fluoride allows us to, especially purple fluoride, allows us to release our grief and understand that our grief is normal and natural, um,
Yeah.
and allows us to forgive ourselves. Because when you lose someone, you go through so many stages. You've got the anger, you've got the guilt, you've got so many stages that you go through. And fluoride
Yes.
allows you to go through those stages gently. So
Mm.
for instance, with fluoride, you can have a list that needs to be done. So imagine the list of grief and whatnot that's there, and it allows you to go through each one at a time so that you can get to the bottom of your list and complete it. So as much as fluoride will
Yeah.
help you do your to-do list, it helps you to go through the grief list as well. Any list that needs working.
Ah.
So I actually had a
That's
sphere.
good. Mm-hmm.
I had a sphere of fluorite and I just kept rolling it and rolling it and rolling it through my hand, like
Mm.
for
Yeah.
6 weeks, basically. And even
Yeah.
while I was there at her, it wasn't a funeral, but it was like the gathering where we all said goodbye. Um,
Mm.
and I had some amethyst around my neck and had amethyst in my pocket. Like, yeah, I was fully loaded.
So,
um, and
so amethyst is very comforting and
yeah,
soothing.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, very much
Mm.
so. It's that warm hug of it's okay, everything's going to be
Mm.
okay. In saying that, just a little thing about amethyst is amethyst encourages psychic abilities. It encourages clairaudience. So for those out there that have schizophrenia, and that they can't actually understand the voices, amethyst is
Mm.
not for them because it
Okay.
amplifies the voices. So if you can't
Mm.
understand what voices are talking to you, it's best to leave amethyst alone.
Mm. All right. But
Um,
if you're wanting to tune in more to your psychic
yeah.
clairaudience, then it's a good one to use.
very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did it also
It's
help you
like a VA.
connect? Does it help you connect then with your sister's spirit on the other side? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's almost
yeah.
like it's almost a string between the two. In saying that, as
Mm,
much as I am psychic and have mediumship skills, I don't claim I'm a medium, but I do have spirits come through every now and then during a reading.
mm,
Um, it took well over 12 months before I could see or hear Tash.
yeah.
And I got very angry about that because I'm like, I'm seeing all these other
Mm,
ones and I'm hearing all these other ones. Where is Tash?
yeah.
So
Where are
it's
you? Mm,
yeah, and at the end of the day, she was there. I just wasn't hearing her, and I wasn't open to seeing her.
mm,
So it was almost
mm,
like I'd step back into the materialistic world as compared to the meaning world.
yeah.
So it took a while, and there was a few others that were in the same boat that she ended up introducing me to quite a few different people that allowed us to go on this journey together. Um, she was the kick up my bum to live my life authentically. Embrace the weird and crazy me. Now, when people go, "Oh my God, you're so weird," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm weirdly wonderful. So are you." Or people are like, "Oh my God, you're
Weirdly
so
wonderful.
crazy." Weird, you've got to
Mm,
turn it around. Words are like spells, and that's why it's called spelling. So we need to make sure that whenever someone thinks of weird, it's like, "Oh no, don't do that. Oh no, that's not good." So to say weirdly wonderful, it makes it a positive. It's the
mm.
same as when people look at me and they're like, "Oh my God, you're crazy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm crazy beautiful," because
Someone
it
gave me a
turns it
card that
around.
said I'm crazy beautiful. I'm owning that one. Yes.
We need to though, because once again, it turns it positive. So one thing that just sort of to digress a little bit, one thing that I
Mm,
learned during doing my Reiki, so I'm accredited in Reiki 1 and 2, and one thing that I really took away from that is a saying that says, "What you experience is what you experience." So I, for instance,
mm,
could be seeing a dark man standing behind
yes.
you and you can't
Mm,
see it. Does not mean he's not there.
yeah.
And just
That's a good
because you can
point.
smell toast, because you can smell
Mm-hmm.
toast cooking and I can't, that does not mean someone's not talking to you about it.
Mm. What a good phrase for this time in the world because there is a lot of division, a lot of
Yeah,
people believing different things, and
yeah,
one way that we can all come together and appreciate each other's truth is to understand that we're all tuning into different truths, different things.
and
So
frequencies.
it's like, yeah, and different frequencies. So your experience
Yeah,
is your experience. So someone
yeah.
listening to this might be having a completely different experience here on Earth.
That's exactly right. And it could be
Mm,
a profound sense of, oh my God, I'm okay by having that. By being reassured that it's okay that you don't resonate with what we're speaking right now and that you
mm,
resonate with your own truth. Because at the end of the day, I personally believe there are three truths: my truth, your truth, and the actual truth.
oh, that's
Doesn't make you
interesting.
wrong, doesn't make me wrong.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as right and wrong in my world.
but there's an actual
Because,
truth which we're tapping
yes,
into differently.
exactly.
Yeah.
We through our
Mm,
different experiences, we form opinions, and just because we've experienced something, it could be the similar experience, but we've performed a different opinion from that experience. That does not make either of us wrong or challenging each other. It's just a matter of I've gone through something and formed an opinion. You've gone through something and formed your own opinion. Doesn't mean either of us are wrong.
and we change our
It's just
opinions. Life
all the
is
time.
an evolution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yep. Based on our experiences. So every time
mm,
we have different experiences, we form different opinions. And there is nothing wrong with having differing opinions
no.
because you are
Ah,
individual. You're a blonde haired, beautiful lady. I'm a brunette, beautiful lady. We're here to stand out. We're not here to blend in. We're here to actually embrace our true authentic self. Whether you're a rough cut diamond or whether you're a polished opal, at the end of the day, you are
mm.
there to stand out.
That's what I believe. Part of the reason behind this podcast is to encourage people to embrace their unique, weirdly
Yep,
wonderful, crazy, beautiful self,
yep,
and to inspire others to do the same. So,
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Mm,
And one of
mm,
my favourite sayings that I have, because I love encouraging people, it's amazing how many people will have an idea or like a situation they want to implement. And all of their friends are like, oh no, don't do that. Oh no, don't do that. Oh no, you can't do that. Oh, but what happens if this happens? Oh, what happens if that? Well, so what if that happens? At
mm,
the end of the day, those people saying no to you, they're only saying no because they can't do it, because they're scared, because their fears are stopping. Don't let their
yeah.
fears implement onto your ideas. And there's a reason why we're all, like, for instance, you were shown the owl. You were shown this idea because it's you who can implement this idea. So that's why you were
Mm,
sent the white owl in the darkness,
yeah.
because it's you who can actually back it and send it out there so that people can feel comfortable to be their true authentic self.
Mm,
And
such,
loving
yeah,
ourselves is huge. It's the first step towards
yeah.
being true and authentic. And
And
nearly probably
trusting their
80%,
intuition. Hmm.
yes, because we're not taught to do that when we're yay high. But when
Mm-mm.
we're kids, we're told, oh no, don't do that. That's weird. But no, hang on, that's what makes them them. That's what makes them beautiful. That's what makes them unique.
Yeah, that's right.
So
The things that you were
we
teased for as a child are probably your
yep,
superpowers that you will use in
yep,
adulthood. Yeah. I've got
yep,
a
yep,
comment here. I thought I'd just read it out.
yeah.
Alison says, interesting about amethyst. My sister wore one while she was dying. I now have it, and when I wear it, I can really feel her near. It's been 32 years since she left. Mm.
Bless.
Mm,
Oh my God.
yeah.
That is so beautiful.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps.
I've got tears in my
And
eyes.
yes, yeah. And I lost my sister 2 years ago. So I think we have that in common. It was a wake up call for me to live every day and speak my
Yep,
truth. And,
yep.
every day is a gift. And
Oh yeah,
yeah. And the crystal that got me through, I took it off today, but I usually wear it, is my Moldavite. Yes. I
yeah,
was gifted
beautiful.
a Moldavite, and that has kept me just tapped into, I would say, the other side of the veil when I started
Yep,
wearing
yep.
that. And so just, yeah, it's a comfort to know that she's on the other side kicking my butt into doing what I am here to do. So our sisters,
And you
Alison, your sister, our sisters, they're all on the other side. And I really do believe that they are supporting us. Mm.
very much so. Do you realise Moldavite is actually from out of this world?
Yes, it's like a space rock.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
else can you tell me about it?
Okay, so I love Moldavite. I've been playing with mine too. I was just actually going through my pocket thinking, have I got it on me? I don't think I do. I think I've taken it out. So
Mm,
Moldavite is a big shake up. So
yeah,
Moldavite can basically pick you up from where you are and dump you where you're meant to be. Um,
that makes sense.
if you can't handle rejection and if you can't handle loss, Moldavite
Mm,
is not the crystal you to play with. Because if you're in the wrong job,
okay.
if you're in the wrong town, if you're in the wrong relationship, if you're not living your true authentic self, it's just going to go, get over there and start doing
Yes.
what you're supposed to.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
and
it
it can
pretty
become
much did
shocking to
that.
people. Yeah, yeah.
You
It
know, when
drops
I
your
put
ass
that
into gear
on,
to do it.
I felt like I'd just had 10 coffees. My whole body started
Yeah,
vibrating, and I was like,
yeah,
zzz. It was a
yeah,
gift from a
yeah.
beautiful lady over in Abu Dhabi. And yes,
But that
I
is
had never heard of
amazing.
Moldavite, and she gifted it to me. Mm, mm.
That is amazing. So a tiny piece of Moldavite can range anywhere from $200 to $400. The price of
Yes,
Moldavite is
yeah,
absolutely out of this world. So the
yeah.
fact that you were gifted that, that is just absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love that.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
it's the color of a green and it's actually see through. It's one of the
Yes.
main crystals that get counterfeited, actually. So it's always wary to be careful where you purchase your moldavite
Mm.
from.
Yeah, I've got
But
my
at the
little
end of the day, moldavite,
authentication certificate.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can usually tell too, like with any crystal. So I talk to my crystals. I'll pick it up and I'm like, "Hello, where do you want to go?" So I actually had
Mm.
a large piece. I don't have it here with me. It's in the bathroom. I have a large piece of kyanite. It's probably about that round and about that long. And I looked at it, and kyanite's good
Mm.
for cleansing. It's good for releasing. It's good for communication. Which is why when it told me it wanted to be in the bathroom, I was like, "What the?
Mm.
Why do you want
So
to be
you
in there?"
asked your crystal and it said, I want to
Yeah.
be in the bathroom.
Yep. 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 Whenever
Yeah.
I'm placing crystals around the house, I ask it where it wants to
Mm.
be. And it'll tell me. Like you'll hear the
Mm.
voice in your head say,
Yeah.
bathroom, under the bed, in the pillow slip, on the mantelpiece. Like I have quite an
Mm.
array of crystals. Um, I'm actually looking at these are just some that I have on hand. Like I need a better display cabinet. But this is just a small sort of selection of crystals that I have from a large appetite piece. So I've got this nearby for the simple fact that appetite's good for public speaking and can help with the throat chakra.
What did you call it?
I've
It
also
sounded
got
like
it with,
appetite.
yeah, appetite as in the food.
Oh, that's what it's
Yep.
called. Oh,
Yeah,
I never
yeah. So
heard of
it also
that
helps with
crystal.
those. It's one that if you want to lose weight or gain weight, it can help you.
Mm.
Okay, here's a joke. It's a dad joke, so just brace
Okay, I
yourself.
love dad
So
jokes. Okay, I'm braced.
why did the geologist get upset?
Why did the
Because
geologist get upset?
because he lost his appetite.
Because he lost his appetite. That was such a dad joke, Anne-Marie.
I did warn you. I did warn you. I did warn you. So
My son would
we
love
also,
that.
oh, I love it. It
Mm.
just cracks me up every time. We also have a bit of smoky quartz here, which is for grounding, because when
One
you
of my
asked for me to
favorites.
do, when you asked
Mm.
me to do this, I was like, I'm like bouncing around. I'm like, all right, come back down to earth, calm your farm. It's okay, stress less.
Calmy
And you can
farm.
actually,
You're so Tasmanian.
oh, look, I'm Australian, put it that way, like, because I've lived in
Australian. Yeah. Okay, Australian.
WA,
Yeah.
Queensland, and Tassie,
I
and I'm
love
a
it.
mix
I
of
love
all
it.
three.
I love
Um,
the Aussie lingo. Yes. Calm your
um,
farm. Yes, with smoky
yeah, um,
quartz.
yeah. So this one, it grows points, and when you're dealing with clusters as such, you can actually
Mm.
nominate certain people to different points. So I could say that
Okay.
that's for you, that's for me, whilst we're actually talking. So it allows it to ground for you
Okay.
as well. In saying that,
Yes.
I do not allocate any crystals for anybody without their permission.
Yeah.
You need to have people's permission when you play with energy and crystals and
Mm.
frequency, because at the end of the day, we all have free will and we don't want to be
Yes.
coaxed into doing things that we don't want to be coaxed into doing.
So no black magic with your crystals.
No black magic with the crystals unless you open up a worm here, unless it is for
Mm.
protection. So I will
Okay.
perform
What
black
are the
magic
best
when it comes
what
to
are the
protection.
yeah, what are the best crystals for protection? I know a lot of people that are working and want to protect their field. They might be a
Yep,
masseuse therapist, or they might be a counselor, or they might just be living in a house where there's someone with a lot of heavy negative energy. So, what do you
yep. So
suggest?
what I suggest is you can grid your property or your house or your room. And what I mean by grid is by putting crystals into the four corner and maybe in the middle, depending on the layout of your house or your room or
Okay.
what it is that you're gridding.
Mm.
So crystal grid is a conversation for another day, really, at the end of the day. But it's a matter
Mm.
of basically creating a force field around your space. So
Right.
when you're gridding a house or when you're gridding an office, it's really good to use obsidian, selenite, clear quartz, smoky quartz,
Mm.
tourmaline.
Mhm.
Um, but what I recommend at the end of the day is if you have a selection of crystals, look at your
Yep.
selection and say, right, what do I need to grid my house? Or what do I need to protect myself? And the crystal, like you can
Mm.
close your eyes and just center yourself, take a breath. You don't have to at the end of the day. I like to because it sort of calms me down to be able to receive clear response.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And as soon as you open your eyes will be directed to whichever crystal it is that you're requiring at the time.
Yeah. Okay. So you just
Every
ask the
time.
crystals you have,
Yeah.
and then one. It's like when you walk into a crystal shop, you're always drawn to one type of crystal. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you know once I went
Yeah.
into a museum and right at the beginning of the geology section was the biggest smoky quartz. Like it was like a pillar I'd ever seen. And I could
Yeah.
not move on from there. I had to stay.
Yeah.
And I felt
So
like I needed to be there. Yeah. Mm.
smoky quartz does a lot as compared to just protecting. So smoky quartz is grounding, but it also
Mm.
encourages you to chase your dreams, start a business,
Mm.
become
Mm.
like find a business partner. Like that's one thing too. When it comes to dealing with clusters and things like that, you can actually get one that is similar. If you kind of have a look here,
So
it's
you're
almost like
holding
two
up.
crystals in one.
Yeah, it looks like
So
a mountain range with jagged cliffs for anyone that's just listening. It's like a few peaks
yep.
all joined
Oh
together.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I forgot about that. So it's
Mm.
basically almost like you need support whilst you're going through
Mm.
your journey. So you will
Mm.
find those people. So for instance, you've got one that's just shooting straight up, and then you've got one, two,
Mm.
three, four that are around the side. However, two of them are actually almost one. So that tells
Mm.
me it's either going to be a partner, like a partnership to
Yeah.
come to support you, or
Mm.
you're going to create a partnership in order to hold yourself up.
All right. So you read
So there's
crystals as well.
yes.
Mm.
Yes,
Mm.
like I said, I wear many hats. I wear many hats,
Yeah.
and everything I've learned has been just through curiosity. And I'll pick up a book
Mm.
and I'll have a read, or I'll watch a webcast or a
Mm-hmm.
podcast, or um,
Yeah.
there's so many different ones out there. Like Adam Barrelay is great on crystals. Hibiscus Moon
Mm-hmm.
is great on crystals. I think Sarah Prout
You're gonna
uses to
have
do
to
some
send me
crystals
the
too.
links so I could post
For
them
sure,
below.
happy to share. Happy to
I like
share.
how
Um,
in this day and age we're learning from each other rather than from
yeah,
institutions. Have you noticed that?
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I seem to learn better that way. Like when I was at school, yeah,
Yeah.
I learned a fair bit and I was pretty switched on, but I didn't care.
Mm.
I didn't do my homework. I was like, meh, whatever. And I mean, I didn't exactly
Yeah.
get A's all the time. I got my C's. I was an average student. But the teacher always said to me, you know your stuff. Why don't you do your homework? I said, because I don't do homework.
Yeah. Who needs to
My
do
homework
homework?
is feeding the chooks or taking the rubbish out, or, that was my homework. Not having to revise. And as
Yeah.
much as Dad discussed, Dad always said, if you got homework, no. Revise what you learn. No,
Mm.
don't need to. But when it comes to crystals, when I read about crystals and I learn about crystals, the information just stays. It's
Yeah.
just like
Because you're
it's there. And then I'll be talking
interested.
to someone else and they're like, oh my God, how do you know this? And I'm like,
Mm.
it just fits. And that is how I realized it's one of my purposes and
Yes.
passions to take into the world to share my knowledge on it.
Yeah.
Because I only have
Yeah.
to read it once, play with it once, and I know the information.
Yeah. You soak it in
So
because it's your passion and you probably know it and you're just remembering.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And it's almost like it's my purpose to share the love of crystals. Because getting back to pharmaceuticals, how
Yeah.
many pills do you know that cure the situation?
They just mask it.
They let you live on. They allow you to deal with
Mm.
the hard thing with painkillers. Like, don't get me wrong, there is a space for medicine. There, I'm not saying stop taking your pills and start taking crystals. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is that if you have to take pills all the time, and then you have to have other
Mm.
pills for side effects, and then you have other pills for those side effects, suddenly you're like my sister and you're on 12 pills a day.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for our body.
Like it's not healthy, and there is a better way, and many indigenous cultures have taught us this.
Yeah,
And I think science in the modern world is now proving what they've already known. So we
yeah,
need people to now speak out about it and not to be put down as, oh, that's airy fairy mambo jumbo. No, There's science
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
it. Energy and frequency is real, it's measurable. Um,
Yeah.
and, I remember learning that they put quartz crystals into computers, you know? Yeah, so it's known that these
It's
rocks have
because
energy.
so quartz crystals is like
Mm,
a timekeeper. It's hence why it's
mm,
used in watches. But it stores information from where it's grown. So, for instance, my goodness, this clear quartz point here,
yeah.
I actually do meditations with it where I pretty much envision this quartz to stand really big, and then there's a door
Mm-hmm.
on it, and then I walk into the door and I'm walking into the crystal to be able to
Ooh,
learn what that crystal was learning whilst it was in the ground growing.
wow.
It's a whole new world when you start playing with crystals like that.
Yeah. What did you learn when you did that?
I learned that it's time to believe in yourself, and that the more you believe in
Mm,
yourself, like the less that you can be changed by those around you. It's
mm-hmm.
basically it invited me to understand that just because the powers that be say no
Yeah.
doesn't mean no is where you stay.
Yeah. So trusting
This
your
was this
own
was a
messages. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was a fighting crystal in regards to you need to fight for your work, you need to fight for your knowledge, you need to fight for your systems. You need to actually
Mm,
take a stand and understand that just because people are in authority does not make them right. And the amount of times I walked out of
yes.
this crystal crying, because
Mm,
go back to Salem times when the witches were all burnt.
yes.
Witches were people who
Mm,
use natural products. They use crystals, they
mm-hmm.
used herbs, they used different spells. I'm getting goosebumps. They were people who
Yes.
used nature in order to heal, to
Mm,
regenerate, to to basically live. But there was no
mm,
controlling the witches and what they could do. All of the what is it called? Like shamans and witch doctors
yeah.
use
Yes.
crystals and oils and herbs to heal
Mm.
the cruel that the pharmaceutical companies couldn't have that because they
No,
know it'd
if
be
you
taken to
were
pill.
if you follow the money, you soon find out why pharmaceutical companies don't want people healing themselves. Mm,
That's right.
mm,
And the body
mm-hmm,
is an amazing creation. We heal ourselves.
mm,
And I'm not saying
yes,
that, like I said, I'm not saying pharmaceuticals don't have their place. I just
no.
don't think they need to have as big of a place as they have
Let's face facts. They've taken over too much in our society. Yeah, I don't think you can
for the
argue with
money.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
No.
there's a place for
And
them, but there's also a place for plant medicine, crystal medicine,
yep,
energy healing,
yep,
opening our hearts and just connecting with each other and
yeah.
healing through connection. There's so
And
much
and
more than
sound.
just popping a pill. Yeah.
And
Mm.
exactly right. And sound. Like I was blown away.
Sound. Yeah.
It was last year, I think it might have been, one of my friends who I went to school with, we reconnected thanks to Facebook.
Hmm.
Technology has its benefits. And she was
Yes.
dealing with her daughter who was actually quite unwell, and they couldn't
Yeah.
work out what was wrong with her. And they had her in hospital. I can't
Mm.
remember exactly, so I'm not going to say whether it was like 3 days or a week. And it did not matter how many tests were done,
Mm.
nothing was coming up. So
Yeah.
her sister was like, "Get in touch with Anne-Marie. You need to chat with Anne-Marie." So I tuned in and I basically picked up that this young girl, who is a magical girl, oh my gosh, she has got so
Mm.
much to offer this world as she ages.
Yeah.
But this girl had come from a past timeline, and the timeline that she left, those that she left were not impressed that she had left. And so were
Mm.
actually mucking with her and causing her illness and sickness. So I was guided to offer a language that, I mean, I call it light language. However, I've got no
Mm.
idea what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah.
my inner child just absolutely cracks up laughing whenever I start doing it.
Mm. Yeah.
But within
Yeah.
half an hour to an hour of this young girl receiving this light language, she was released from the hospital an hour later.
Mm. I
And I
love
was
that you've
like,
brought that up. So
yeah,
did you do the
yeah,
language, the sound that just naturally came with her or
yep.
from a distance, like a distance healing?
So I did it over the phone. I sent it through Messenger, and then her mum played it to because she's in
Mm,
Western Australia. So I did it
mm,
through Messenger, the recording, and then she played it for her, and everything come right. So
oh,
a lot of the times, I've actually had some people in Adelaide, or not Adelaide,
mm-hmm,
sorry, in South Australia, who have also
mm,
been dealing with some situations that when I sent the light language or gibberish, whatever, um,
yes.
it cleared them up as well. So
I'm
at the end of
laughing
the day,
because I use it as well. Yeah, and it does sometimes
yeah,
feel like you're just speaking gibberish. But at the end of
yeah,
the day, it carries a frequency and an energy.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I'm wondering whether it's from a past life because it wasn't long.
Mm,
It was after Lionsgate Portal last year, which is the 8/8 portal.
mm.
It was after the Lionsgate that I just suddenly came out with, and I'm just like, oh my God, what was that? And so then when I was chatting
Mm,
to me mate, I'm like, I'm feeling guided to send this to you. She's like, oh my God, please. And so when I
yeah.
did, and then she come back, she's like, oh my God, we're out of the hospital now. What the hell? And I'm just
Yeah,
like, what?
powerful. Yeah.
Very
Isn't it
powerful. And so
interesting?
mm,
Being
it
called
was
to
mind
trust
blowing.
something that you're
Yeah,
intuitively guided to use. And yeah, that's what happened with me as well. So I now bring that light language into my sound healings. So I play the
yep,
Tibetan singing bowls. And I
beautiful.
also just naturally come out with, sometimes I feel like I'm speaking an alien language, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe
That's
that's
exactly
a
right.
Moldavite. Actually, it was after I got the Moldavite that started happening, interestingly. Hmm.
Isn't that amazing? And so the thing is that we all have gifts. Every
Hmm.
single soul on this earth, in this universe, in the galaxy, like everybody has a gift. They have more than one,
Hmm.
but they
Yes.
have a gift that they need to embrace to be able to put it out in the world. Because once we all start living
Hmm.
authentically, the world's going to be a
Hmm.
completely different place. Love and kindness will
Yes.
conquer all.
You know what? I have a feeling that, yeah, anyone that's listening, if something's come into their mind that they feel a little bit nervous, excited about, that they want to share, it's probably the thing they need to share right now.
Oh, for sure. It was like when you asked me if I wanted to join you in this conversation. My
Mm,
heart started racing. I got the sweat. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I'm like, okay.
yes.
And I saw you look at me. I saw you
Uh,
like, oh my God, what's she doing? And as I'm going through the process, you're like, is she going to say yes or no? And then when I've gone, okay, and you've done that little giggle. And it's just like, it scared the bejeebus out of me. So I was just like, this is something that I needed to do.
mm,
I need to put myself
okay.
out there more to be
Yes.
able to share that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be unique. It's
It
okay to
is
be
okay
weirdly
to be
wonderful. It's
different.
okay to be so
Yes.
beautiful. Oh, sure.
Yes. And you
That's
will
why we
encourage
sound different. That's
others.
why we look different. Yes, we have to. We need to encourage others.
Yeah.
We can't be sitting
Mm,
there and being jealous of them going, oh, I wish I could do that. Well, mate, you could probably do something even better if you gave yourself the time and energy.
that's right. You know what? And do you want to speak some light language now? Because I feel like I could speak some to you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You want to let your crazy,
Okay.
weird, wonderful, beautiful self out? Okay. So,
All
juna
right. So
karar
I'm
katauti
going to put it
domaya,
out there.
shanakaya, tukorana, ishutukura na kutupuna yatakaya, inakura kanashana.
Oh my God, I
Ooh.
love that. I love that.
Mm.
Koko koko takai,
Yeah.
kili kia koa. Matiki ki te ka koto, tiki tiki ka ko at ka la tiki tiki at ke ko poa, foko tiki ka ko.
Oh, ishana kara katatunu mai shana kututu harakanana kadu tukushana kana. Let it all out.
Oh
I
my God,
think
I
a
love
lot of
you. I
people
love
are
you.
speaking this new type of frequency and sound, and it's
Yeah,
exciting because we're all going, what are
yeah,
we doing? But it kind of feels like
yeah,
we're doing something pretty amazing. Mm, mm,
yeah, yeah. I totally agree.
yeah.
Totally agree. And I
Mm,
almost felt like, even though I don't know what you're saying or what I was saying, I felt like it was a full-on conversation that was about love and kindness. Like, because
yeah.
the tone that I used with that just then is about the love and encouragement. Whereas there's been times when I've been on the defensive and it sounds
Yes,
to the point where
different.
I want to go and hide. Like,
Yes. Yeah, I know it can be
yeah,
sometimes quite serious and full on,
mm,
and other times
yeah,
fun and whimsical. Yeah, but I felt
yeah.
like I was saying it's time to shine and to share your beautiful,
And
beautiful
I love
gift.
that. I really do. I'm always about you need to shine so bright that people need a welding mask to see.
That's great. Yes. And you do shine bright, Anne-Marie. Like,
Oh, thank you.
I don't think you could
Same
hide your
here.
light if you tried.
I know many people have tried, but it ain't working.
No. So, okay, where can people find you and your crystals if they want to continue this conversation or perhaps order some crystals from you or ask you about anything else you've spoken about today? Where can they find you?
So you can basically find me on Facebook. As my main selling modality other than the website, which is AM's Crystals, which is
Mm-hmm.
A-M''S crystals. So obviously
Yeah.
Anne-Marie's,
Mm-hmm.
as we spoke about
Mm.
at the start. And then my website is amscrystals.com. So
Okay.
the website is something that is a continued work in progress. And not everything that I have in stock is on that website. But if there is anything anybody is actually interested in acquiring, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's on my personal Facebook, Anne-Marie Polack, or through the business or on the website. My phone number is actually on Facebook, so you'll be able to call me or message me if that's what you want to do. I also offer
Mm.
readings and whatnot as well, so that's an option as well. But at the end of the day, one thing that you need to remember is that all the crystals that I sell, I have worked with personally. I will not sell crystals I haven't worked with.
Mm.
I will not put my guarantee to a crystal if I don't understand it. So if you're chasing a particular crystal and you want me to order it in, no worries. I can source it for you and I can get it in for you. However, I'm not prepared to actually sell something that I haven't worked with. So that's something to keep in
Mm.
mind. But I've
So
worked with a
you
lot of
vet the
crystals.
crystals. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you want to
yeah,
have personal experience and understand how they work before you pass them
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
one thing that stuck with me when I saw Adam Barrelay, he came to Tasmania. He's from WA, but he came to Tasmania, and I did one of his little meditations and whatnot. And his first question when we all were sitting down, he's so my guy. He's like, "So, are you monogamous to your crystals, or are you a crystal slut?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"What? What?
interesting.
What?" And he's just like, "Well, are you monogamous? Are you just dealing with one
Mm.
crystal, or do you have a lot of crystals?" So, yes, I'm a crystal slut. I deal with a lot of crystals at once. However,
Okay.
when something new comes in, I remove all crystals, and for at least 1 week, if not two, I work with that one crystal. I sleep with it.
Mm.
I have it sitting with me while I'm eating. I have it whether
Yeah.
it's in a necklace. I have it whether it's in my pants, in my pocket. I do not buy pants without pockets. I will not have
Yeah.
it because I can't carry. Um,
So you're
but at the
monogamous
end
for
of the
that
day,
period with your new crystal. Yeah.
yep, yep, yeah. So at the end of the day, but
Mm.
there's days where I don't wear any crystals either because at the
Mm.
end of the day, our body is so amazing.
Mm.
We don't need crystals to heal ourselves. We can do it
Yeah.
ourselves. The crystal
Yeah.
is just that little nudge and that little comfort, that little hug,
Mm.
that little support that we all need when we're going through things. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you do not need crystals to heal yourself.
Yeah. It's just one tool that you can use and
Yeah,
they can contact you. And I'll
yeah.
put the links below to AM's crystals. Yeah.
Thank you.
And any other questions, we'll be checking in with the Facebook chat for anyone that's listening live. And if you're listening
Yeah,
on YouTube or Spotify, contact Anne-Marie or
thank you.
myself, Mel
And I
Craven.
am
Yeah.
I'm looking at actually leading into YouTube and doing some more lives and chats on
Mm,
YouTube as well. So keep
yes,
keep an eye
please.
on that. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yay. Shine your light, Anne-Marie. It's a beautiful one.
Thank you. Thank you. That might be a nice
Okay.
name for my podcast.
Yes, that's right. And we always end this White Owl podcast by doing owl imitations.
Oh, I love that.
I'm just joking, Barb. I like to say life is a hoot, right? We're here to enjoy
Yes.
life.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and there's a seriousness to following your truth, but there's also a lightness because there's a freedom. And so I always
Yeah.
say hoot hoot. Life can be
I
a
love
hoot
that.
when you're flying and feeling free because you're being authentic. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one thing just to sort of reiterate about the flying is the bird
Mm,
doesn't trust the branch. The bird
mm,
trusts its wings. So when the branch
yeah,
breaks, its wings carry it.
yeah. Beautiful.
That's even bigger
Excellent.
freedom because you're not relying on anything but yourself.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
fly on, everyone, through the darkness, illuminating it with your truths. And you
Yeah.
too, thank you so much for taking time out to speak with me today, Anne-Marie. Beautiful.
Thank you for having me, beautiful. Love you.
Ajunukurata kayana.
No.